All right, let's turn our attention to migration. Back in the news again this week, and when isn't it really? The appeal court is having a hearing today on legal challenges to the Rwanda asylum plan. They're appealing the decision of the courts here to say that it was actually okay to go ahead with Rwandan deportation flights. Those flights were actually stopped by the European Court of Human Justice, an interim sort of injunction, effectively. But the British court so far had said it was okay to go ahead, so that's an appeal on that. We've got the illegal migration bill back for its third reading, so basically final stage in the House of Commons on Wednesday. Then it goes to the House of Lords. We'll see what chance it has of getting out of the House of Lords intact. Meanwhile, the Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, has agreed to some concessions. Of course, we've seen some concessions to the rebel Tory MPs who wanted to make sure that actually courts wouldn't be able to undermine that new law. But she's also had to give in on the other side, so Channel migrants will still have the right to claim legal aid to fund their human rights challenges against deportation. And she has agreed that unaccompanied child migrants, whether they're really 42 or not, as we've seen in a story over the weekend or not, will not be routinely detained as well. Well, let's talk about all of this with Harjap Singh Bhangal, UK immigration lawyer. Good morning to you, Harjap.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you so much for joining us. I mean, it's amazing how many of these things are all coming together at the same time, all quite separate, of course. In terms of the Suella Braverman and those concessions, she's sort of having conceded on the sort of the right wing of the Tory party and the right wing, and sort of the left wing of the Tory party as well, hasn't she?
Yeah, that's politics. So she wants to get her bill through without any problems, and she knows an election's coming next year, so she's got to placate the public as well, make sure she gets the votes in. So that's the nature of the beast, I'm afraid, and she's got a balancing act of trying to placate everybody, including her boss as well, Rishi Sunak.
What do you make of the idea that channel migrants will still be able to claim legal aid? I mean, again, you sort of feel like, I mean, my instinct is, well, yes, you know, these people haven't got any money, they're living here, they should have, it's an important thing, they're going to be deported. If you haven't got any money, you get legal aid. But I also think, well, you know, you had $4 or $5 grand to pay a people smuggler, so you did have some money. You've got your mobile phone. I mean, I'm not entirely sure that Brits should be funding legal aid challenges on this, when, you know, they're not being, you know, just, you know, thrown out into the sea or deported back to a country that may or may not be threatening to torture them. They're going to be going to a relatively safe place in Rwanda. Should we allow legal aid for those challenges? And if we do, does that mean basically we'll never see anyone deported?
No, not at all. Legal aid is very limited in immigration. It's not the case of where it was in the 2000s. So you only get legal aid for about 5 hours of work at the maximum. And it only really kicks in at the appeal stage once you've been refused. Right. So there's no really role for a lawyer until we have a decision on a case. Very few firms do legal aid now. Probably less than in their hundreds. So it's not really thousands of firms that do it. Yeah, basically, they pay so badly, heavily regulated. I haven't done legal aid since 2003. And most appeals are funded by charities or by people in the community just getting in together and getting some money together, or people getting a loan. So that's the way it is. And legal aid is very important, even in not just immigration, but in criminal cases. So if someone gets falsely accused, say, of rape or murder, then
most British people don't get entitled to it because you know there's very little help, and also in terms of you can be on very low income and still not qualify.
Because they work, Julia, and migrants only get £35 in vouchers a week and don't have any income. If we let them work, then we can cut the legal aid off.
But then we may as well just say, just come on in, everybody, mayn't we, at that point?
Yeah, but only until they're refused. Yeah. You should only let them work until there's a decision on the case. It's not their decision. It's not their fault. It takes a year for the Home Office to make a decision. That can be made in 15 days.
That is true. And yeah, of course, that was all part of the the appeal, is the fact that basically you're just going to sit in this limbo. Let's face it, a lot of these people are working in the black market. You know that, and I know that, and that's how they survive. Let me ask you about a former ISIS fighter. This is revealed at the weekend. An Iraqi named only as AJ, as regarded as a terror threat. He's been on active service with a terror group with ISIS in his own country. He smuggled himself into Britain on a small boat, posing as a 17-year-old, despite being 42. He thought to be the oldest person to pretend to be an unaccompanied minor. He's currently staying in a 3-star hotel along with other adult migrants as he appeals his decision on legal aid to have him deported. I mean, you know, he is known to have been an ISIS fighter. He's smuggled himself to the country. He's already lied about being underage. How on earth someone believed he was... I mean, I can understand a 20-year-old being able to pose as a 17-year-old, but a 42-year-old? I mean, this is what people fear, that these people are a danger to us.
Well, this should be flagged up as soon as people come in. Now, we used to have a system called Eurodac, where anyone who's been convicted of crimes in Europe or across the world, as soon as they'd be fingerprinted, it'd flag up.
Yeah.
But due to certain deals that we've done and a certain vote, we've now lost access to that system. So
oh no, come on! But that's a stupid decision by the EU, because why wouldn't we want to?
And the UK government. The UK government should have set up their own system. And surely, if you're going to do this, you should set up your own replacement systems. You can't argue, hold on, that it's the EU's fault we don't have any return agreements. It's the EU's fault we don't have any Eurodac. I mean, if you're leaving a house, it's up to you to make sure your new house.
We can't force them to do that, but it's crazy for both sides not to cooperate on security issues like this, because it's in everyone's worst interest for them not to. But at the end of the day, he's been identified. They know who he is.
Yeah, which is good.
And he's still in the country.
Yeah, well, it's up to the Home Office.
Freely.
The Home Office can detain anyone at any time in a detention centre. That's what detention centres are for. Now, someone at the Home Office has decided, well, actually, he's not that much of a terror threat. We'll tag him and track him, and we don't have to detain him, or we'll make him sign on every week, like a lot of immigrants have to do, and keep an eye on him. Or maybe the detention centres are full, but they can detain him at any time. In fact, whilst we speak, Julia, they can go out there, send a van and detain the person. And yet the Home Office will tell you, do you know what they'll do if you ask them for a comment?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No comment.
We don't comment on individual cases.
But, yeah, that's it. That's the line.
But this tells us about the sort of people who are handling these cases, though. OK, I mean, suspicious officials did check his fingerprints against a European-wide database of asylum seekers. His true identity was exposed and he was apprehended. But apparently he's got fading tattoos. That's how old he is. His tattoos are fading. He's got a thick beard, lines on his forehead and around his eyes. He looked clearly... he's got receding hair, for goodness sake. He's clearly not 17 years old. But he applied for asylum on the unaccompanied asylum-seeking child system and was put in local authority care with under-18s in London. The people working in this system are clearly abjectly incompetent.
That's nothing new. We've been saying that for about 7-8 years on this show. So... yeah, if you're working in a supermarket one week on a till, and the next week the Home Office say, here you go, here's complex immigration law and international human rights law, make a decision on this. I think you might be a little bit out of your depth.
I'm pretty sure that all the people working in my local Waitrose on the till would manage to spot a bloke wasn't 17, he was 42.
Yeah, pretty much, because they probably do that when it comes to sale of alcohol. Yeah. Yet the Home Office, for some reason, continues with its broken system, continues with its broken recruitment policy, continues to make decisions that are wrong. We know 50% of these decisions appealed by the Home Office against the Home Office are wrong anyway. Yeah. It takes a year to make a decision and it's wrong. Yeah. And what are you going to do? I mean, this is totally
Can I just
broken.
say, though?
No one admits it, just papering over the cracks.
British Civil Service, best in the world. 8:33 is the time. Harjap Singh Bhangal, always so good to talk to you. Thank you very much, indeed.